In the moments before the fight, a man's life reaches its defining crossroads. An intersection of win or loss, of pride or shame. Every step, every breath carries the weight of a lifetime. The anticipation builds, nerves on edge as he faces his own fears and doubts. This is a culmination of all his efforts and sacrifices. In these decisive moments, the man taps into his inner warrior. The echoes of the crowd chanting his name, offering their support and inspiring his determination. As the bell tolls, he steps into the arena, ready to etch his name into history. It's in these moments that he finds the clarity to shed his insecurities and embrace this inner warrior. A storm of emotions raging within him can only be harnessed by his bravery to the task. Win or lose, these moments are a testament to the fighter's spirit. It's not about how hard you fall, it's about whether you can get back up again. Overcoming is not a choice, it's a lifestyle, in the ring and outside. In these moments before the fight, you have to be about it.
Got some yard work today to catch up on everything on the acreage. It's always busy and never-ending projects and a lot to keep up on, so gotta get that done today. So I'm going to shovel some mulch and cover up some of the grass around the trees. Been meaning to do this for a good couple weeks now. Call it the Peacock Ranch around here. Well, I moved here from Calgary and it's completely different. There's so much wind. The city's completely different to acreage life. The wind is just unbearable. We'll see how this goes. I've got a flat tire. So.
My wife fell pregnant in the year that I was playing for a team called Newcastle United, and we got promotion to the Premier League in that year. So all through the season, the promotion season, she's getting bigger and Jake was kicking. It seemed like he was kicking every ball on the field as we were getting closer to promotion. She went into labour. It was very difficult labour, 48 hours. And he was actually, it was epidural forceps delivery, and he was born with a cord wrapped around his neck, poor kid. And all we wanted to do is it a boy or a girl? Boy or a girl? Saw it was a boy, and then he cried and he put his arms out to the side, and we saw his right hand was missing.
So we met at university. I came in actually for the second semester, so he had already been at the school. We were on the same dorm, so I think it was like my first night getting to know everyone, and we actually went out for ice cream with a bunch of people, and I saw him. It's like one of those, like, you see them in the corner of your eye and they just like catch your attention. So I was kind of just like keeping an eye on him all night because I found him attractive.
As being part of that household, there were chores and things to do. And sometimes they weren't done with the best grace, and I would have them cleaning the bathrooms and, you know, cleaning their bedrooms and things like that. And if they didn't do it properly, they didn't get their allowance. And it was as simple as that, really. Through the structure of our home, they taught me to, you know, take responsibility and be disciplined and work hard, and my room had to be kept clean all the time and neat and tidy. And I think sometimes I'd try and hide all the toys and stuff under the bed. You'd ask him to tidy it, and all he'd simply do is stuff everything under his bed. So you'd look under his bed and you couldn't see carpet, you could just see mountains of clothes, and so then he would have to go in and redo it.
The funny thing is he can't cook and he can't do laundry, and it has nothing to do with his arm, it has everything to do with...
It's competence. I am clean though.
He's very
clean.
Yeah, but you don't know how to clean. Like if I asked you to
like... How to clean, yeah. Like I'm always picking stuff up, like I keep it tidy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll ask Jake to clean the kitchen and I'll come and it's just, it's not, you do, I mean you do.
I do my best. Do my best.
I would say it's pretty average for like how a man cleans.
When Jake was born and we discovered that he only had one hand, this man, we don't know whether he was a Christian, but he said, this is the body that God has given Jake. And it was just the right word at the right time.
1 in 10,000 or 20,000 babies are born with a limb deficiency, they call it. And it was a complete surprise because we just had one scan in those days, and for whatever reason it hadn't showed up. An amniotic band is the reason given, where part of the amniotic sac can come away in development and wrap around where the limb should grow.
Yeah, when I was 12 years old, up until when I was first year university, I'd often not want to leave the house with a short sleeve shirt. I'd want to wear a long sleeve shirt just to hide my arm because you get all the questions and looks, and you know, I had people make fun of it when I was younger, so, well, even up until now, but that changed obviously when I became a Christian. As soon as I became a Christian in, I would say, my first year of university, it was completely different. I wear no shirt, short sleeve shirt, it didn't matter. I wasn't even focused on my arm anymore because my identity wasn't wrapped up in myself and what I looked like. It was now in God. So that was a pivotal moment for me, for sure.
Not just dealing with the normal trauma, if you like, of that, but we had to deal with it in a very public way, which is part of the thing of being a professional sportsman, is you have to deal with your family life in a public way. After a few weeks, we started to get letters in from all over the country, didn't we?
Yeah, it was amazing. People like one-handed golfers, I mean, people of all different ages, all different backgrounds.
Parents encouraging us who had a child.
Encouraging us. It was just incredible, the support that we had.
It's gone.
Why didn't see it?
The bee?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, I think it flew over here. Okay, it's actually on you though.
No, you're lying. You're lying.
So new girl was on the floor, and she was definitely a standout compared to everyone else.
I think our first time actually hanging out together, just me and you invited me to a Muay Thai class.
Oh yeah.
Which is funny because we now own a Muay Thai gym together. But it was so much fun and I loved it.
And she'd said years ago in high school, she said, I've always wanted to try kickboxing or boxing or something. Then she met me.
We had such a great time in university. University's so laid back, like you have like a couple hours of class a day and then you have the rest of your time to just like have a great time. And we had so many adventures. Yeah. And now that we have kids, we look back and we're like, oh, we had all the time in the world.
All the time in the world.
And we spent like every moment together.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff. Yeah. When
we first started dating, the first thing that kind of drew us to each other was like we were both athletically minded. Like I played basketball in university. He was always at the gym and always training. So we really connected in that. And I absolutely
couldn't keep up, to be honest. I couldn't keep up with the athleticism. Just gonna be honest there. Just got a little private session with 2 of my clients, and we're going to be running 2 some drills, working some reaction stuff, some counters, and some pad work. It's going to be a fun session. Yeah. Good, John. Good.
Well, Jake, as a child, you'd have to say very physical. From being really young, even as a baby, he's lifting his head. He scaled his cot, his crib, and he landed on the other side when he was 10 months.
And he had an affinity for nature. He loved the outdoors, he loved animals. But we would go on vacation and he would catch lizards.
I was always obsessed with animals, I loved them. And when I moved out to Canada, it was potentially like, I wanted to be like a park ranger or something of the sorts.
Now bear in mind he's got one hand. He would go after these lizards and he would catch things like lizards and butterflies and delicate creatures like that, and yet he wouldn't hurt them.
I'd be coaching him. He's a little toddler, so I'm getting him to kick a soccer ball in the backyard, and I'm saying soccer and football bilingual, and he's doing all of that, and then the next moment he's in the bushes and he's messing around with the insects and the animals.
We'd be playing football with me in the yard, and I'd just get distracted and run over and like catch a frog or something. Now I live on an acreage, and I just picked up another dog yesterday, a big one. So we got 4 dogs, 4 cats, we had 3 pigs. Get my dog voice on camera. Bruce! Brucey! Come here, okay, come here. There we go, you like that. You like that. "30 degrees on the Peacock Ranch." Come on, you guys. Toughen up. I think I became a Christian when I was 18, and from that time on, things changed for me. But before that, I struggled with my identity, like who I was. So I looked to fighting when I got older, like to define me, and I would be like Jake the fighter, right? But by the time I was 18, 19, I was really taking my identity from it. And you know, if I was doing well in the sport, you know, I was feeling good, and I started to take my identity from, you know, who I was as a fighter rather than who I was, you know, as a child of God.
He was just a normal kid that had to learn normal things just like everyone else.
And even just things like buttoning up a shirt, opening a packet of potato chips, things that we take for granted when you have 2 hands.
I've been in swimming pools and people when I was younger, and people didn't even realize. I've been like in swimming lessons for weeks, and then one of the kids is like, "What? You don't have an arm?" I've been like swimming with them for 6 weeks.
You know, people were amazed that this little kid that is in swimming classes, you know, he's got one hand and he's up and down doing these laps, and quite remarkable. And he would work things out, just like, you know, climbing a tree, for instance, you know.
Growing up with that, I've always had to find a way around things. But then people will point out to me, "Oh, wow, you put a sock on with one hand." I was like, "Don't everyone?" But apparently people use 2 hands. Anyway.
Because he had the one hand, he would look at things differently and think, how can I figure that out? And he would just get up to the top of climbing frames and trees, and it gave us a heart attack a few times, I think, as parents.
I think one of the things that we learned as parents is that for Jake, whereas with maybe a 2-handed child, you'd be able to teach them to tie their shoelaces. We didn't know what it was like, obviously, to only have one hand. So a lot of the time, I mean, you taught him to tie his shoelaces, didn't you? But it was almost like you kind of led the way, but he had to then work out the next steps for himself, because we didn't know, like using a can opener. You think, right, okay, how do you use a can opener with like one hand?
But that helped him think outside the box, which is what he does now. He thinks outside the box. He can approach problems from different angles.
He had to figure out how to do everyday, ordinary things for himself.
I've had to be creative even before I was in martial arts. Just creative tying my shoes even. And I bring that into the ring. I bring character into the ring. I bring unconventional techniques and combinations, and stuff people don't think I could pull off, I pull off.
You see someone with one hand and like you don't know what they're capable of and what they're not. But then, like, getting to know Jake, he literally finds a way to do everything. It's not even like you're really working with one hand, because he uses his right arm for like so many things.
As far as, you know, whatever it is in life, sports, you know, landscaping, whatever it is, a musical instrument, I've always found a way. My mum put me in martial arts when I was 7, took to it straight away. You know, she was thinking, give me something to do outside of school, extracurricular, and then also learn some self-defense, be able to handle myself. And I had a great coach, Steve Broom, was my first ever coach, and in a combat sport, he was the one that showed me, you know, taught me how to think outside the box, as it were.
Oh, he had a fighting spirit when he came out the womb.
Yeah,
he
was the survivor from the start.
And I wasn't interested in all the belt grading and that. I just wanted to fight, I wanted to compete. And so I started competing like 10 or 11 years old.
Don't tell him he can't do something. If you tell him he can't do it, if you put any kind of negative thought that it won't be good for him, you will study the opposition a little bit, and you'll see the dangers that the opposition present on that day. Now, this is where he could do me damage. This is where he could be a problem for me. Jake would be 5% of that, and 95%, this is what I'm going to do to him. This is how I'm going to win. This is how I'm going to find a way to beat. So it's very much what he's going to do, and very positive thinking without the negative side of it so much.
I had to design like a chain and a strap that hooks around the back of my arm, and the chain comes down here, and I can attach it to weights, and then I can do any conventional weightlifting, any kind of pull motion I can do. Any kind of push motion I can already do, but any kind of pull motion I need something to grab on, so I use the chain to do that. So I can deadlift, I can chest press, I can do pull-ups, I can do rows. It's been quite handy for me, really, really useful.
Starting in martial arts is actually his mother that signed him up.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
I think we wanted Jake to have a sense of what he could do in terms of physicality, but also defensively, like about, you never want to get involved in a fight, but you want to be able to defend yourself if necessary.
When I transitioned from sport karate, which was touch contact very fast, transitioned from that to Kyokushin karate because I wanted something more. And pretty much the idea of it is to break the will down of the opponent. So it gets you really tough mentally, physically. I think I got a lot of my toughness and grit from that sport. Like creating microfractures in your shin. The training was grueling, mentally challenging, physically challenging, and you had to be hard. If you wanted to compete at the level I was competing at, you had to be really hard. The fight game itself has given me like a strong mentality, like a rock hard, unbreakable spirit. And I think that's probably what I've taken away most, is that spirit, that unbreakable mentality, and that never give up attitude.
It's really taught me to stick through things, through thick and thin, Don't give up. Pain is only temporary. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's really taught me that. And you can do something if you put your mind to it. The power of this, it's the power of martial arts and who you have around you, who you choose to surround yourself with.
Things I've taken away from it are just endless amount of life lessons: discipline, courage, bravery, perseverance, structure, routine, professionalism. I've taken away a lot from it. I started in karate and we're jumping around, doing spin kicks and all sorts of fun stuff. And that's probably why I took such a liking to it, because I just run around like throwing Power Ranger moves in the air. Yeah. I think that would be it, for sure.
And Jake would have been about 7 then. And it wasn't too long before the coach saw that Jake had this eye of the tiger.
Very much with martial arts, it's actually about self-control. Being able to control yourself and having yourself and your temper under control.
Kyokushin is about, it's not points, it's about breaking the will of the other fighter, right? Through pain. A lot of leg kicks, no pads, full shin. When
I was taking Muay Thai a little more seriously and I was training and I was told like I had some potential in that, I immediately wanted to make it my career. My dad was a professional athlete, my granddad was a professional athlete. They were both footballers, but I'd seen them make a career as a professional athlete, and so I was like, oh, I'd love to do that. And Muay Thai is different. You got to love the sport, and I think that's why you get some real dogs in Muay Thai, because people just want to scrap and people love to fight and they love the art behind it, and it creates great fights. It creates great personalities.
Right, you get a lot of guys that show up, even big guys, think they're going to be karate fighters, and they don't last long. They go home, the next morning they wake up, they have a hard time walking, and they don't come back. When that kid rolled into the dojo, he was about 130 pounds, but he was fast, he was quick. His old man Gavin used those quick God-given legs to kick balls in the Premier League, and his son uses that gift to kick people in the face.
It's enjoyable to watch, with a slight bit of nerves, like, when you're watching there, but it's always entertaining, I think, with Jake. I think he's always an entertainer in the ring. Gives people value for money. I think he senses that as well. He wants people to feel like they've come for a good evening and they've been entertained in the sport and with the art of the sport.
I have lots of fans now around the world, and having their support, it means a lot to me. So when I go out there and I'm fighting, I'm not gonna, just get by and win.
I'm going out there to put on a great show and put on a good performance, and then, you know, give back to all the people that have supported me from the beginning.
And I think now that he's married and that he's a father, he's that bit older, and he has his own business. You think about, you know, what if he gets injured? But I actually love to watch him fight. It's a beautiful thing to watch. You know, some people just think, oh, it's just pugilistic and it's just kind of barbaric. But there is a certain beauty to watching it.
I never want to miss a fight. I'm having like children and it's making it hard to go to fights, but I told him, like, if I have to like haul 5 kids to your fight to watch you fight, I'll do it, because I absolutely love it.
Guys don't get paid to fight. They fight because they want to fight, right? And they want to test themselves. That's what's great about Kyokushin.
And Jake really competes for the art of the sport as well. He's an artist in there.
There's people that have the persona of being like super egotistical and like rude and cocky, and I like to bring in humor and entertainment, and at the end of the day I have nothing but respect for my opponents. Every single opponent that I've fought, nothing but respect, no bad blood, you know, but I do like to, you know, poke fun or like have a laugh.
There's something about like his personality, you put the spotlight on him and like you give him an audience and it just like brings out so many different colors of Jake, and everyone loves it, and it's great to see. Yeah.
There's some dull personalities in the fight game. You can put that in.
I don't really get nervous. Like, people ask me, oh, are you scared like Jake's gonna get hurt, or don't you just hate seeing him in there? And I don't. I absolutely love it. And
throw me to the wolves, you would.
Today, I've got my private client here, and we are going to be working a few different skills, some pad work, we'll be doing some drills, a little bit of boxing mixed with kickboxing, and finish off with some strength stuff.
He works so hard and puts himself through the fire on a regular basis that the fight is, 9 to 15 minutes of his life. And I think he's had enough other life things happen that 9 to 15 minutes for him, I don't think is anywhere near as scary as some of the other things that he's had to experience and will likely continue to experience.
God has blessed me with 1.5 arms, and it's forced me to create this mentality of be about it, don't talk about it. Whatever you want to do in life. And I always said that in my pro career, I might win and I might lose, and I'm going to be content either way.
My whole philosophy is be about it, right? That's mentality. And this sport, it's like 80-90% mental. As a professional athlete as well, you got to be disciplined. You have to be focused, and you have to do things that aren't always fun. And my parents taught me that through the chores that they had me do, and family life as well. But in a combat sport, when you're locked in the cage, or you're in a ring with another man that's trying to do the same job as you and trying to put you away, you got to be about it, and you got to be mentally strong. And so growing up and doing little things like that along the way, and testing myself and pushing myself, that did wonders for me. And now I go in the ring, and maybe the opponent has the upper hand, or maybe he hurts me, but he will never know he hurts me.
Jake talks about being mentally strong. Well, that didn't just happen, right? He had to go through the fire to get to the other side. And the more you got to know the kid, and the more you put him through the ringer, the more he kept rising to it.
I'll never let him know he hurts me. He'll never see it in my face. A couple of fights, the coach is yelling something at you, right? And trying to get in your head for their guy. And just that mental discipline and the mental toughness, I'm able to block that stuff out. It doesn't even affect me. But people that are mentally weak or haven't worked on that side of the fight, they'll break, they'll snap. And you lose the fight as soon as you break mentally, you've lost the fight.
You also need to realise that it's a very small percentage talent, though you need talent, and then the rest is hard work. Hard work and discipline and perseverance.
He's just got this unshakable confidence about him, and just something about him that just screams, I'm a force to be reckoned with. Be about it means, take no shortcuts and lead the charge, you know, be a role model and strive for the highest level that you can, and, you know, and do more than what is asked of you.
You have to keep the mindset of pushing forward. You got to keep the mindset of 1% better. You hear a lot of those things, but the action is the hardest part of anything, right?
I think he has a very unique perspective, both from his kind of situation, being born without, you know, forearm and hand, but also what he does and what a lot of his values are with what he runs through the gym. There's lots of things that I don't necessarily know that he's intentional about, that he just like naturally does.
Like whatever it is, you know, you have to be committed to a goal and pushing towards that goal, disciplined to reach each step to get there, and at the end of the day, no excuses. And if you have that kind of mentality and that attitude, I think you'll achieve whatever you want to achieve in whatever field you're in. This one time in class, I just said the words, be about it. Don't talk about it, guys, be about it. And after that, it stuck to me and about like what I'm about and how I want to present myself in my career, but it also stuck about the gym atmosphere, how I wanted everyone to, like, you know, represent the gym, and it caught like wildfire. Like it's like a kind of lifestyle now, and you know, we got it on a shirt and everyone talks about it. Everyone's about it now. And be about it simply means no excuses. Be a person of action in whatever sphere of life you're in, whatever you're doing. Don't talk about it. Be a person of action and be about it. When I was 19 is when I stepped away from the sport completely, from competing, but also from even entering a gym. I didn't train, I didn't teach anybody, and I myself wasn't competing for those reasons of, you know, my identity was wrapped up in it, and I needed to bring myself away. My whole life changed, the whole trajectory of my life changed. So what I did was, I said that I'm going to just take a step away from the sport, and at the time I decided to never, you know, come back to it and never fight again. And during that period of time, I actually grew the most. I became a Christian. I understood that, you know, I was taking my identity from who I was as a fighter and who people saw me as an athlete and winning fights with one hand. So I took my identity from that, and that gave me a sense of temporary security and self-belief and all of that. But when I took a step away from it, I found my true identity in God, and that changed everything. My confidence changed, how I viewed myself changed, how I viewed the rest of the world changed. So it was a very pivotal decision for me and pivotal moment in my life. I have one loss in my pro career, so I'm 12-1 currently. I think I'm 12-1, am I 11-1 or 12-1? Sorry. It's because I always envision the next one, right? Hold on, I just gotta double check. See, what I do, yeah, is I write down on my phone. No, I write down, I'll show you. This is legendary, yeah, 12-1. Oh, sorry, I'm 11-1. So I write down the keys to 12-1. Road to one championship finals, and then I'll write down everything that I need to do to win that fight. Yeah. So in my head, I'm already 12-1, and so I live by that, and I actually think that I'm 12-1, and that's why I keep winning, because of belief like that. So I'm actually 11-1. Fighting was my world because that's where I took my identity. Right now, fighting is not my world. I don't take my identity from that, so it can be rocky waters and I'm good. You know, I'm utilizing my body in the most realist sense, and I'm never really isolating anything. You won't see me in the gym bicep curling, do you know what I mean? So everything I do is extremely functional, and my body's just maintain a well-balanced proportion between my left side and my right side. And I haven't even really tried. I just make sure I'm doing everything functionally and sport-specific to hit someone as hard as I can and as fast as I can, and we end up like this.
Recovery for somebody like Jake or somebody that's competing at a professional level, a lot of the time does come down to pain management and being able to continue to do things and continue to train, because they're ultimately working towards whatever that overarching goal is. given that somebody only has use of their left hand, day to day, 100% of that load and that movement variability is put on that one side of their body.
When you get hit with that nub, it's like getting hit with the butt end of a baseball bat. Okay, that thing has got no give, right? It's not like a fist that's got small bones and there's a bit of give there, right? That thing is hard, okay? And it's pointy and it hurts, especially when you get it in the ribs.
We've done weighted exercises where he'll grab his cuff and his chain, and I need to triple the weight on his right side to his left because he's just developed that side in such a unique way. His ability to create torque through that right side is significantly higher than it is on his left.
Everyone has something to say about how I should fight, or whether it's an advantage, disadvantage, having, you know, half of my right arm. At the end of the day, I never even think about it being a disadvantage or an advantage. I just go in there and I do my thing.
I think a lot of people are surprised when they get in there with him, because the game plan for most people is I'm going to circle to his rights and I'm going to try to clinch with him. And it isn't until you feel what he's able to generate and produce on that right side that I think you realize that's maybe not the best idea in the world.
Maybe some opponents think it's a disadvantage, then I kick him in the head. Tell me that now. Some people say it's probably an advantage because he's like tricky in the clinch, it's hard to clinch him. I'm missing half of my arm. I don't know how that's an advantage, you know what I mean? So.
And the recovery side of things is not only to compete, but also to be able to function as a dad and a husband and all of these other things. So that again is where that recovery piece becomes really, really important.
A recovery after a fight isn't too bad. Like, I'm banged up and bruised, but it's during fight camp when I'm pushing my body, and I'm training really hard, then I'll get tweaks and I'll get, you know, pulls and strains and such. So, you know, I train 6 days on, 1 day off, but if I need to take another day of rest, it's extremely important. And obviously staying on top of that with my physio Chase, that's huge. If I have issues that need to be worked out, he's like a magician that clicks his fingers and they're gone.
My perception of Jake, I obviously spend a lot of time with him leading up to the fight, and it's interesting that you can see how his demeanor changes week to week as the fight gets closer and closer, and how his body changes week to week and closer to the fight. For somebody who fights for a living, he is an absolute baby when he's on the table. When I have him in the clinic, I try to go to wherever there's the least amount of people because it sounds like I'm torturing him the whole time and I'm barely doing anything to him.
I got my driver's license the day after a fight. I broke my nose and had, I think, 1 black eye, and I had to get my driver's license. So I had a black eye on my driver's license for, I don't know, 3-4 years. We're going out there to put on a piece of art on display, really. It's the art of 8 limbs, the art of 7 limbs for me. And we're out there to paint a nice picture. And it's controlled, right? It's controlled aggression and controlled violence, really. The concussions in football are like way more than, I don't know the stats, but they're way more than Muay Thai. You know, you won't come across many people in Muay Thai with crazy history of concussions. I've not had any from fighting. I had one from walking into a lamppost. That's it.
Well, today we're at the Sandman Hotel just doing a weight check. We've got to make sure that we're not over 10% of the weight that we cut. I made weight no problem. Yesterday I was working the weight off, weighed in at 145. Today I'm weighing in at 156. By the time the fight comes, I'll be about 158. So we're all good, ready to go. Later today, the show's on.
As an outsider, you think that 2 people are just going in there and just like trying to kill each other. And there's so much preparation, so much training, so much technique that goes into it. It's such a controlled sport. Like, the danger part of it isn't what people think it is, because it's much more controlled. I also think that people don't realize that this sport is a ton of fun, and Jake's opponent wants to be in there just as much as Jake wants to be in there. And like, I know it's a violent sport, but people have like the best time of their life in the ring.
Yeah, otherwise they wouldn't keep doing it. They say it's the most intimate sport. You spend, you know, 15 minutes potentially in the ring with this person, and he sees everything about you within that 15 minutes. It's quite an intimate sport. You're locked in a cage or a ring for those 15 minutes, and he can see everything about you. You can see everything about him. You can see when he's scared, or
You know, you can see his courage and you can see a lot about a person in those 15 minutes. So when you leave, there should be nothing but respect. Anybody that's hopping over the ropes, it's different than other sports. It's different, like it's you and another man. There's just a lot of respect. So I've always been very close with everyone I've fought.
The moment I decided to take my first pro fight, sign my pro contract, I made a promise to myself then and there that I would never take the shortcut. I would never take the easy road. I would never let my ego get in the way and, you know, select certain sparring partners to make me feel good. I always said that I would go in the trenches and that I would be honest and real with myself. And that's helped me. Having no coach, that comes full circle. Having no coach, but being able to be real with myself, that's helped me get where I'm at today. I made the decision to open a gym and to utilize some of my skills as a child and youth care counsellor as a gym owner, and maybe get some troubled kids in and foster a community, and people that maybe didn't have friends or family would find a place of belonging. And that's what we have here now. It's amazing. Sometimes we have 60 people a class, like on average we have 40 people a class. We started with a small vision and dream for a little community, and it's just become a massive community, and people have said their lives have been changed through it. And it started really small, like a few people a class, sometimes no one would show up for class for a couple of years. Like getting one person or no people come to class, that's a bit of a kick in the groin, and it's a little rough to deal with and manage, but I don't know, me and my wife stayed focused on the goal, knew that we could trust God with the outcome, whether the gym made it or didn't.
It's discouraging when 1 or 2 people show up to class and you're like, well, this...
Yeah, that was the worst.
Yeah. It almost like hits you like your ego, because you see all these gyms that are like packed and you're starting off this tiny little gym with like a couple members. I'm like the logistics of the business and you're like the face.
It would still operate, it just wouldn't be legal. Our whole like purpose behind the gym is to help you achieve that goal, but also go a little bit further as well. We're not just gonna take you to the goal that you have. We're gonna like try to inspire you inside the ring and outside the ring in general life to reach your goal and to go a little bit further. And that's the kind of philosophy, mentality we live by. Most fighters, they would have their professional career, and at the end of it, when they've made a name for themselves, they'd open up a gym. While that allows them to solely focus on being a professional athlete, I did it the opposite way around. I opened up a gym because I had no idea that I was going to be fighting. And then I started competing while I'm running a gym. So while that is challenging to balance, I do think that it's taken a lot of weight off of me having to make my whole income from...
Financially.
Yeah, financially, make my whole income fighting.
Jake being a professional fighter, I would say it's like the dream for us. It's such a great career for us to own a gym and him to fight professionally. He can really like create his schedule to work around us as a family. He does train in the gym at our house, and Charlie like loves to go in and play with him. And Jake will be like shadowboxing and Charlie's like running at his feet. Jake has always been the type to just like care for people. He has this like big heart for people, especially people that he sees who might be hurting or going through a difficult situation. I think because of Jake's background and his history.
People just think of intelligence as being book smart and getting degrees and PhDs and all of that. He can do a certain amount of that, but he has an intelligence where he understands how life works and how people work.
He's always been very intuitive.
Perceptive.
And perceptive with other people.
Yeah.
If you need a kick in the butt, and if you're like dragging your feet, and if you're not reaching your full potential, he'll tell you.
He's got an incredible talent when it comes to measuring distance. He pictures things and frames things in a way that other people can't see.
Whether they're regular members or they're competitive fighters, amateur or professional, I always tell them, you know, don't be afraid to lose in the gym. This is where you should lose, because you're trying new things and you're developing, you're working on things, you're putting yourself in positions that you're not actually the best at to get better overall. Better to lose in the gym than to lose in the ring, where it actually costs. It costs you a record, it costs you money, it costs you your health, right?
Mixed martial arts is a lifestyle, and it was a lifestyle that made sense to me from a young age because I always saw life itself as a fight. You come to a fight prepared, you come to life prepared. It's almost like if you frame life the same way that you frame a fight, when you get to the hard things in life, it's that much easier to handle.
He wanted everyone to work hard, to listen and to have fun. And another sort of underlying thing he wanted for people was to be happy.
Rules of the gym are burpees or leg kicks if you're late, push-ups if you swear, no music with swears.
They've just created this like really unique environment of everybody's welcome as long as you're willing to train hard.
If you are late, you might have to take some leg kicks from Jake. And trust me, you don't want to take leg kicks from him.
You're not just there for yourself, you're there to help someone else get better as well. And I think those elements combined actually make it a family feel.
We're always trying to get better 1% each day.
3 words that could like define the word dunamis would be strength, power, and ability. So it kind of sums up what we're about at Dunamis.
I teach kids classes, I teach clinch classes, teach a fundamentals class every week. That's actually one class that I really enjoy teaching because I get to work with beginners, new people who've never been in a gym before. Their faces are frozen with fear when they come in here.
It was a little bit intimidating, just walking into a room full of killers, professional athletes. There's always a little nerves.
You build this sort of attachment to some of these people and hear from people. Some of it's hard to take in, you kind of become like a counselor, just trying to help these people, stay above ground with whatever it is that they're dealing with.
We get so many different people come into the gym with all sorts of problems and they want advice and they want to vent to you, and it's great. I opened the gym because of that. That was one of the reasons. It just is what it is. I feel like a counselor sometimes. I am, kind of.
We encourage everyone to try their hardest, to create new bonds of friendship, to look beyond their own ego, and as a collective sort of help each other get better.
Everyone's in here with the mindset of getting better and helping those around them get better.
If you have something that you need to ask for help with, you have an entire community of support to ask for that help.
I get so many messages personally saying, the gym saved them from suicide or alcoholism or drugs or whatever it is. And that's not just me, that's the environment we've created, the atmosphere we've created. People rely on each other.
Jake invokes feelings of being a champion when you're around him. He helps you feel like you are the person that you're trying to be.
Watching my dad and my granddad, they were both professional athletes at the highest level. My dad was all over the TV.
I played as a professional, and his grandfather, my dad, was also a professional. And so he grew up around that, the professional sport and professional soccer.
And we couldn't go to the mall without someone saying, "Oh, Gavin Peacock, can I have your picture and autograph," kind of thing. And then seeing my dad go from that, move us to Canada where nobody knew him, to a small mountain town, and leave the money, the cars, the fame, everything that everyone would consider what life is all about. He left all of that and went back to school to study church ministry, to see how my dad was and how my granddad was, and it's made me into the man I am today and the decisions I've made. It's been quite humbling to get the messages that I've received, over the last 3 years, and just to see the widespread reach that I've had. I feel a lot of weight on me and responsibilities to act a certain way and to hold myself in a certain way. And it's driven me and pushed me to fight hard for my fans. If I'm having a rough day of training, I think about that. Think about people that, tune in to watch me or are following my career, and kids that are inspired by me, or whoever it is, that pushes me to work harder and to keep grinding if it does get tough. Father God, give me the courage to face what's ahead of me. I pray that you would keep me safe and that you would keep my opponents safe. And at the end of it all, Lord, would you be glorified in my winning or my losing. Amen.